Welcome everyone. My name is Bradley and I'll be your moderator today. Thank you for joining us here at Netcom Learning. As a company that provides training, learning, and talent development solutions and wants to promote lifelong learning, we're happy to host today's webinar on the new Employer-Employee Compact and how to leverage it. And presenting today's topic is Vincent Suppa. Vincent teaches graduate business courses at New York University, is an efficiency hacker, and a certified executive Six Sigma Black Belt. He specializes in working with pre-IPO startups, helping them to position themselves for public offering, acquisition, or merger. He's worked in Asia as an expat, as well as in the US high-tech industry and European telecommunication industry. Self-described as part of Generation Flux, he is the founding president of HR Avant-Garde. We'll just give you a quick overview of the logistics before we get started. To start with, you have the option to adjust the window size to your liking. Simply hit the escape key and find the zoom button on the top left corner of your GoToWebinar viewer. Everyone has been muted except for our presenters. Also, a PDF of today's slides are in the questions pane, and I'll send it out again in a few moments. Please feel free to submit any questions you have for the presenter here in the questions pane, and we'll address them at the end of the session. And also, today's session is being recorded, so you'll get free access to the recording in the next 24 hours. And I'll just take a few moments to show you where you can access that recording. Here on our website, www.netcomlearning.com, on the homepage, if you go click here on the free webinars tab, at the top is all of our upcoming webinars that we have, and they're all complimentary, and you can sign up for as many as you'd like. At the bottom, if you scroll down, it says recently completed webinars. So today's webinar will be right here at the top, and you can access it to view the recording. Just as an FYI, we also offer a host of other business and IT courses and certifications, which you can find in these tabs up here. You'll also find some promotions running on the classes we offer if you click on the promotions tab. And right now we are hosting a PMP certification deal. And Netcom Learning has also introduced a Learning Voucher Pass and Learning Savings Pass for your company to maximize savings. And without further ado, I will be handing it over to Vincent to present today's topic. Vincent, are you there?
I am. And thank you, Bradley, so much. And good afternoon, everyone. And we have a lot to cover, so let's get started. The least you need to know about the new Employer-Employee Social Compact. Hopefully, we'll get it all in 18 minutes. Now, here's the least that you need to know. The current compact, or the old compact, is based on a 20th century paradigm based on mutual loyalty. So the new compact that we're about to discuss recognizes the reality that jobs are no longer permanent, while at the same time, we can and should be encouraging permanent alliances. Now, the old 20th century paradigm, the social compact between employee and employer, it was about stability, predictability. If the firm succeeds financially, and if the employee performed well, the job would remain. Careers would progress along an escalator, and there would be predictable advancement as long as the employee followed the rules. And in exchange, the company received loyalty and low turnover. Now, what's changed? In the past 2 decades, we see globalization intersecting in the information age. We have the on-demand economy, which will be a future webinar. But in a previous webinar, we discussed how algorithms and big data were creating a labor-light economy. During the year that Kodak was going bankrupt, the largest photo company in the world was Instagram. And they were serving tens of millions of customers with only 13 employees. That's what we mean by a labor-light economy. So what we've seen, the transition from the old to this new compact, we've gone from stability to rapid, unpredictable change. Now, adaptability and entrepreneurship are now endemic to any type of career success. So the traditional employer-employee compact has been demolished. Many employees are now asked to leave the escalator, not advance along it. So what's the problem? Well, instead of developing a better compact to match reality, companies have adapted by minimizing the existing compact instead of replacing it with something better. Now, what do many firms do? If they need to increase net income, they reduce SGA costs. They lay people off. If they need new skills, instead of spending the time developing those skills out of a training development budget, they simply acquire new talent. So what we've seen is budgets going from training development to the comp plan. If we need new skills, the product cycle has been so compressed, companies can no longer wait to develop talent. So they simply acquire that talent with the existing employees asked to leave the company, even though these employees play by the rules and they were good workers, and even though the company was doing well. So this is what we mean by there's a new social compact. Now, this lack of security has forced employees to be more entrepreneurial by taking the talent outside of the firm. So an employee with a great idea, instead of nurturing it within the firm, they take it out of the firm. The average venture capitalist might receive 5,000 unsolicited business plans a year. Your average CEO receives none from inside the company. If an employee has an idea, they take it outside of the company, and they compete with the company that they used to work for. Now, what's the equation of this new compact that we're talking about? It's this: the employee will invest in their company's adaptability in exchange for the company investing in the employee's marketability. And we'll get into that in some detail. Now remember, this is a compact, not an employee contract. So we're talking about enlisting workers for specific assignments analogous to military tours of duty. At the same time, the company is encouraging employees to build networks and expertise outside of the company, but on the company's time and using the company's budget. Now consider this new compact. Instead of minimizing the current compact, we are developing a better one, recognizing the reality of the new professional social order. Now, companies can't have an agile firm with this de facto lifetime employment. Plus, the best people do not want one employer for life anyway, right? So why not just acknowledge it? Now, this model that we're talking about really comes from the Silicon Valley model, where adaptability and risk-taking are acknowledged as crucial for success. Now, entrepreneurs that are successful, they are successful because their networks are strong. So recommended reading, The Startup of You, it talks about how to apply the habits of successful tech companies to build your own career. Now, if we compare large cap and small cap companies, we will notice that small companies
Started at 1. No,
small companies
1 to
featured
130.
by the Russell Index consistently outperform the S&P over time. Now, enterprises have disadvantages in resources, but yet they're more adaptable, entrepreneurial, and they out-network their competitors. So if you look at the risk-reward premium, small companies over time consistently outperform large companies. So the idea of this new social compact is to allow big companies to have the same adaptability, nimbleness, flexibility as a small company. Now, the current compact, which we're saying is not really true anymore, is about a long-term relationship. Now, in a long-term employer-employee relationship within the same company, both sides are willing to make an investment. Again, the firms provide training, advancement with an implicit guarantee of employment. And in exchange, the employees provide loyalty and moderate wage demands while playing by the rules. But here's the new compact. It acknowledges the probable impermanence of the relationship while building permanent trust and investment. Again, we're acknowledging the impermanence of the employer-employee relationship while building a permanent relationship. So instead of entering to strict bonds of loyalty, both sides now seek mutual benefits of alliance. So the firm says to the employee, if you make us more valuable through your network, we'll make you more marketable. So the employee will invest in the firm's adaptability via their network, and in exchange, the company will invest in the employee's marketability. Now, this is going to establish a realistic zone of trust because the firm will get an engaged employee striving to produce results. And the employee gets the firm to advocate for them at the project's conclusion to either find them an opportunity within the company or to find them an equal opportunity outside of the company. And we're going to explain how that works in a moment. But in conclusion, to this point, the employee may not get lifetime employment in the company. And again, your top employees do not want one company for life anyway, but this employee will get lifetime marketability, lifetime employability, either inside the company, but more probable outside the company. Now, we're talking about establishing a tour of duty analogous to the military. So people don't give lifetime loyalty to one company, so why not just acknowledge the reality and leverage it? Now, when Reed founded LinkedIn, he set the employee compact, not contract, but compact as a 4-year tour of duty with a discussion of 2 years. If an employee at LinkedIn moved the needle on the business during the 4 years, the firm would help him advance the employee's career. That could result in another tour of duty within LinkedIn, or if there was not an equal exciting opportunity within the company, but the employee did move the needle, then they would be helped finding a position elsewhere. Again, from the firm's side, lifetime employment is not practical, and from the employee's side, lifetime loyalty is not feasible. And to pretend that both of these conditions are true really decreases trust on both sides by forcing both parties to lie. Now, why the 2 to 4 years? Well, in the software business, and remember this model comes out of Silicon Valley, this syncs with the typical product development cycle. In management consulting companies, we see 2 to 4 year analyst programs, and of course the cycle applies outside of business. Presidential elections, Olympics, even the World Cup. Now, this tour of duty compact is now a recruitment tool for top talent. When the employee comes in, both sides, the employee and the employer, agree in advance on what's the purpose of the relationship, what is the expected mutual benefit, and then what is the planned exit strategy. Now, most retention programs for traditional companies have fuzzy goals to retain employees with ambiguous time frames of indefinitely. And that's just not true. We know that's not true, so why pretend? The firm in the past would ask the worker to commit without making a commitment in return. So this tour of duty is seen as a personalized retention plan because it gives the high-performing employee a reason to finish the tour, to finish the project he or she is working on with a clear time frame for discussing the future. Now, how do you construct this tour of duty? You could talk about an employee launching a new product, re-engineering an existing business process, or even introducing a new organizational innovation. So here the employee is drawn to this type of compact because he or she gets a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to work on a high visible project that will make a great bullet on a resume. So the employee will now have the possibility of a breakout entrepreneurial opportunity. Now, why would the company do this? No matter how many smart people a company has, there's always going to be smarter people outside of the company. So the firm is going to encourage the employee to build his or her network outside of the firm. So the company tells the employee, we will provide you the time to build your network on the company's time, and we will also give you a budget to build your network, to attend events, to take people out to lunch. We will provide that budget. In exchange, we ask you, the employee, to help us leverage your network. There's an example from a venture capitalist firm, and every meeting would begin with a cash award for the person who had the best industry rumor heard through their extended network. Now, who receives what? Imagine the past where people are updating their LinkedIn profile in private. They don't want their boss to see. Under this new compact, the company is making sure that the staff updates their LinkedIn profile on the company time. So we see trust developing. The firms trust the employees by giving them the resources to build their networks. Now, how do we know that this works? Well, in the 1970s in Boston, the Route 128 corridor had the top 10 high-tech firms in the world. But in Massachusetts, they strictly enforced non-compete agreements, non-disclosure agreements. This made sure it was very difficult for people to leave one high-tech company in Massachusetts and join another. Now, California does not enforce as rigorously these non-compete clauses. So in California, it was always much easier for an employee to leave one high-tech company and go to another. But what happens when a person leaves one company, goes to another, they now build a network between those two companies. And that's one of the reasons why today you don't see top high-tech companies in Boston anymore, but you see them in Silicon Valley. It is related to the idea of how Massachusetts law made it difficult for companies to jump from one company to another. So let's look at the example of Netflix and Amazon. Both stream movies. Both are competitors to stream movies. But Netflix streams its videos on Amazon's cloud platform, even though Amazon's instant video is a direct competitor. Why? Well, Amazon and Netflix agreed that they're competing on content. They're not competing on who has the best broadband. And so when we have someone leaving Amazon and working for Netflix, they bring that network with them. So what we have here is your career. Based on the book, The Startup Review, your career is based on your individual capabilities and then your network's ability to magnify your capability. So I want us to think of I raised to the exponential power of we. So employees are raised exponentially through their network, and in exchange, the company's power is exponentially raised through the power of the employee's network. So how does this work? Well, here are the rules of engagement. The company will set up a budget for employees to take people in the network out for coffee, out for lunch, out for dinner, however the company wants to set it up. And to make sure that the company reaps the benefits, there are two criteria for employees tapping the fund. The employee must leave the building so we can make sure they're building a diverse external network, and then they must report back with what they learn so the gains can be shared with the companies. No more than 3 takeaways in bullet form. It's saved on a shared drive, and any other employee may follow up with the employee that wrote the 3 takeaways. Now, many firms allow employees to expense business lunches, but not networking lunches. Why not? Your CEO has networking lunches all the time. So when you only allow employees to expense business, but not networking lunches, we're talking a short versus a long-term view. Now, here's the action plan. Companies will create a budget for employees, and then we will create a shared drive for the company. So if you want to take someone smart to lunch, expense it. No approval needed. For highly networked and entrepreneurial employees, we now have a recruitment marketing tool. Now, what are the advantages? Employees get to work on cool projects. They now have a budget to build their networks on the company time, and at the end of the tour, they will now be more marketable through their network. If there is not another opportunity inside the firm, the CEO in that company will leverage her own network to help augment the employee's network to make sure that he lands with another great opportunity at another company. Now, even if it's with a competitor, we see the Amazon Netflix example. It's just another opportunity for raising the network exponentially. And we're at our conclusion. If you'd like to learn more, please join us at hravantgarde.com. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bradley.
Great, Vincent. That was very informative. I do have some questions here that if you want to get into them. So the first one I have is, if an employee does end up finding an opportunity outside the company, what are some tips to keep that relationship vibrant?
We hope to touch upon that in a future webinar. The company is encouraged to, instead of saying good luck with your new opportunity, the employer should say welcome to our alumni network. So we encourage companies to build robust alumni networks where there's protocols to staying in touch and making sure that the relationship is permanent. So we can get into more detail in a future webinar, but in conclusion, the company would set up an alumni network to make sure that that employee exiting the company, their contact information is up to date, and there would even be quarterly get-togethers with all alumni of the company getting together, because that's the other side of the equation. The company, once they advocated for the employee leaving the company, we want to make sure that the relationship is permanent.
Okay, and I have another question here. So what's your suggestion for the worker to advance and prosper? Sounds like contract model is the long-term best deal for the worker to flourish.
Well, a contract model in many states in the United States, we don't really have contracts. We have employment at will. So here we're talking about a compact, right? Not a contract. I would say the best way to flourish, you cannot expect any company to give you lifetime employment, but by investing in your own network, you could lean towards lifetime marketability, employability. In order to flourish, you want to build a network. The best time to look for a job is when you don't need a job. And instead of looking for jobs, look for professional relationships. I believe that's the best way to flourish. Again, don't look for jobs, look for professional relationships.
All right, we have some more time, and I have another question here. Employers will lay off the employee and they are out the door the same day, but employees are expected to provide 2 weeks notice. Is that model still realistic?
2 weeks notice is the practice. I know many companies where they want the employee to stay at least 30 days. Usually that's going to be spelled out in the employment letter at the beginning. Now, that's still the practice. Companies expect at least 2 weeks, but what you'll find is when you get a new offer, the new company will understand that, and it's very rare that a new company will insist that the employee work right away. And they're very comfortable in giving that 2 weeks notice. So yes, that is the practice. But when you say the employee's out the door the same day, if they're being walked, usually in exchange, they're also kept on salary for 2 weeks as well. So in that sense, there is some equilibrium. So yes, the employee may be asked to leave that day, but more often than not, they're kept on payroll. They're given at least 2 weeks severance pay in exchange for that 2 week notice on the other end.
Got it. And finally, if I want to initiate this program with my company, how do I approach the conversation with my boss?
Sure. This new social compact would not be for every employee all at once if you're just trying to roll it out. This would be used for the employees that are in the most demand. For example, if a company is struggling hiring data scientists or engineers, you might roll this tour of duty concept out to 2, 3, 4, 5% of the employee population. What I find is that other employees will actually want to be a part of it. Because if you look at the recruitment tool, any employee that's part of this tour of duty, they get a budget to take people out. They get the company to advocate for them if they need to find an opportunity outside of the company. But you do not roll it out simultaneously for 100% of the employee population. What you do is you identify those critical positions that are in high demand, low supply, and you address this tour of duty compact specifically for those positions, because it could be very unsettling if suddenly you roll it out for 100% of the population, and I don't believe that you change the rules in the middle of the game. So I believe this would be best for new employees coming into the firm instead of changing the rules for employees that were already hired under the old compact, because they might find it a little bit jarring that things changed in the middle of the game. So in conclusion, we would look at it for new employees, and we would look to roll it out gradually for jobs that are in high demand yet low supply.
Great, great. Thanks again, Vincent, for presenting today's webinar. It was very informative. And thank you, everyone, for joining us here at Netcom Learning. Vincent, any last words before we end the webinar today?
No, I just hope you join me for future webinars. We will continue continue the discussion on the future of the workforce. Thank you, Bradley.
All right, thank you. And if you guys think of any other questions, today or later on, you guys are more than welcome to email us at webinar@netcomlearning.com, and we'll pass them over to Vincent, and we will get back to you.
Thank you, Bradley.
Other than that, have a good day, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.